Ah! Facebook Live! What is up, people? Episode 2 of the Facebook Live. Lisa's Lowdown Live. So psyched. Let's see if it's even working. Let's see. I'm sitting here. Ta-da. And I'm ready to kick this off. I'm going to give people some time to jump on. See what's good up in the hood. Oh, wow. Everybody's watching. It's working. There's all the people. Okay, so I am going to resume last week where I last left off in the episode 1. I was talking about my personal story, sharing it with you, and how I was in the suburbs, living, married. I was like 27, 28, 29 years old. I had just bought my home with my then husband, and we were getting ready to do repairs to it and gut it and redo it and awesome, right? So now we're in this house and we're full on married. We're doing renovations to our house and everything is like going nice, like our marriage, and we're on our way. Like, yay, everything's just like I wanted it. I have the college boyfriend, became my husband. Life is complete. No. And why? Because I wasn't complete within myself. So the other part that I was talking about on last week's Facebook Live to bring everybody up was about people who leave relationships and line up a new relationship before they leave the relationship. So these are people who can never be alone, and I was one of those people. So I had to handle that in my life because you have to be very happy reveling in your solitude and your aloneness and your time to reflect in between relationships, to process and heal and just make sense of yourself and put that relationship to rest and wish it well and love and light and then move on with your life. So I never would do that. I never allowed the time to do that. And it will rear its ugly head soon enough in my marriage. And so now we will fast forward to 2002, 3, 4, boom, where now I'm married, I'm living in the burbs, I'm working in New York, I'm actually working in New Jersey at this point, and doing PR, doing my thing. And what ends up happening is I find a tremendous sense of boredom in my life. I'm like, I wasn't learning anything really. I was just working, coming home, enjoying my time with my husband, but we weren't really doing anything. We weren't creating anything. We weren't moving towards anything. All it was like, let's do the kitchen. Let's get a kitchen renovation going. And then once that was done, it was like, let's go on vacation somewhere. And so there wasn't any kind of real long-term goal that he and I were working on together. So when I do the coaching package for the Powerful Marriage, one of the key pillars of that program is to encourage couples to come up with goals that they could accomplish within the next 30 days, within the next 90 days, within the next 6 months, within the next year, within the next 5 years. We just do this nice goal mapping process with couples to be forward moving and thinking in the future and having things to look forward to. And in doing that, it makes the now really cool. It makes you like, whoa, like we're having a good time now and we have this cool thing that we're aiming for together. So when you don't have that, you fall into, or at least I did in my marriage, very common, hear people talk about this all the time, you fall into this rut and this routine of like, go to sleep, wake up, get ready, go to work, commute on the bus or train or car, get to work, go have lunch, work, leave, commute, go home, eat, doze off on the couch, try to watch TV, and then do it again the next day. And then maybe somewhere in there, there's a vacation, But pretty much you're basically living to, eat, shower, go to work, pay bills, and die. Kind of not so exciting. You're here to do bigger, better things, is my point. So here we are. I'm like bored out of my mind. I'm like, there has to be more to this. But my problem, and this is where the codependency comes from. So anybody out there who ever heard that word codependency, or they're hearing it now and it's like, ooh, that sounds like me. It's a form of looking to other people to fulfill you and their validation. And so you always have to be relationship, then relationship, and relationship. In addition to that, something that I did was I was living incredibly conditionally. Conditional living, which means the house has to look this way and be this way for me to be happy. That person has to behave this way or that way to make me happy. Everybody in my life, they need to be this way, this to make me happy. So that's a trap, because you can't control what other people are going to do minute to minute. They're fickle. They don't know what they're doing. They're living their lives. They're on their own journey. So when you're trying to control other people and outcomes to make you happy, it's a total trap. And when you free yourself from that trap and you move towards unconditional first love of self, you give yourself some slack and you're like, why do I got to control a bunch of stuff, dude? I'm just here to learn like everybody else. And they're here to learn. So why don't we just be all good with everybody, wherever they are? Let them be perfect in their imperfection. Have love for everyone, for yourself first and most. And then you start living unconditionally. Then you live with appreciation instead of, I got to make this be this in order for me to be happy. It's like, no, dude, I'm going to just get happy. And then everything else will just take care of itself. And you often hear from multimillionaires and successful business people that it's almost like a formula. It's like a thing that they know that not everybody knows. And that is, they just allow. They get to a place of passion in their business and in their craft of what it is they're doing. And then they're like, dude, I didn't know. I just knew I was doing this. I knew I wanted to achieve this. And the people and the circumstances and the situations, I didn't know any of that. But because I had such belief, it all happened. So back to the marriage and back to the boredom. I was too busy looking outside, for the bigger, better, faster, cooler thing. And the bigger, better, faster, cooler thing was in here, but I did not know it. So when you're living in that place of creating conditions to make you happy, you start to do certain things to push buttons in other people because, of course, you want them to try to make you happy. So one of the things that I had in my head to do, I was out to dinner, I think, with two of my girlfriends, and they had like a bug up their ass to go on a girls' trip. And I was like, okay, I'm at the table and I'm like listening. Now, they all have children. I don't. And they're looking to me like, plan the fun. You're the fun one, so plan us some fun. And I'm listening to them, and I'm just like, one of them's like, well, I want to go to like relax, and I want to be by a pool, and I want to have massages. And the other one's like, well, I want to go shopping. And the other one's like, oh, I want to see some good shows, and I want to eat some good food. And another one's like, oh, I just want to party, and I want to have a good time. And I was listening to all of them, and I'm like, all right, so you want the spa, you want to party, you want to shop, and I'm cool with all that. So there's only one place to go. Vegas, baby. And to Vegas we went. And how could I, in the head that I am now looking back, I'm like, how the hell can I possibly suggest to my husband? Not even suggest. It wasn't even a suggestion. It was, hey, so I had lunch with so-and-so and so-and-so, and we were kicking around some vacation ideas for like a girls trip, and we decided on Vegas. So here are the weekend dates that I'm going to go, and like I'm going to Vegas with these girls. Like, matter of fact, like I'll have the chicken, like no sense of respect, no sense of, babe, love, how do you feel about me going on a trip with the girls and it being in Vegas? knowing that there's no way in shit my husband's going to allow that. But that's not where I existed. That's not the marriage I had, because that's not the marriage I created, right? I created a marriage where it was the Lisa show. And if I was paying for it, you had no say in what I was doing. No good. And it was a attitude of separation. Codependent, yet when it came to certain things, very masculine, very my way or the highway kind of thing. And strong army, and just not from a place of respect and love and just mutual negotiation. Like, is this cool with you? It's either 2 yeses or 1 no. And what I do and how I choose to spend my time with my friends impacts you. I mean, if I'm in Vegas and someone who knows him sees me, because things like that happen, and I'm now representing him in a way that I never would, because I just don't roll that way. But point is, it's not cool. Like, it's just, there's a level of respect that was not there and should have been. And it just, again, what we evoke in our partners is, it's a lot of it has to do with us and, you know, what we take responsibility for. So looking back, definitely learned a ton. So I would never, ever would I ever even dream now of being like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Vegas with a bunch of my friends. Like, it's just, that's trouble. And that's not what you do when you're a happily married woman. You just don't even suggest that. Now, if you want to have like a bunch of couples and do a fun Vegas trip, that's fine. But to be like, yeah, I'm toodaloo, I'm going to Vegas. Like, that's just not where it's at. So I don't know, debate that. I don't know if you think that that's cool or not. Guys, what do you think? Like, if you're married and your wife comes at you and says, yeah, so I'm going on a girls trip to a Vegas weekend, wouldn't you be a little like, yeah, no, you're not? Wouldn't it be a problem? And if it wouldn't be a problem, I'd love to hear that too. So comment in the thread. I mean, it's definitely an interesting thing to turn, you know, attention to. What ended up happening was I went to Vegas and we met a group of guys at the pool who were also from like the New York metro area. Cool dudes, like, you know, we were all married girls. They weren't. In fact, one of the guys in the group was in that Vegas scenario because he had canceled his wedding. And so his boys took him there. And, you know, I forged a friendship with these dudes in that weekend. They knew I was married. It was not a hidden thing by any means. And, you know, we leave the Vegas trip. Everything was fun. We had a blast. They go their way, we go ours, but they're from New York, so they wanted to stay in touch. And since I was the one that didn't have the kids and could hang out in the city, I said, well, you know what? I'll make a night where we can all go out together, and we all go out together, and I can introduce you to a bunch of PR girls that I work with in New York and friends that I have, and we'll just make a plan and go out. Lo and behold, long story short, it escalated into an emotional relationship that I had with one of the people that we met there in Vegas after we had gotten back. And it started with just confiding in somebody about my marriage and about the things that I was confused about, things that I didn't understand. And it was the typical codependent dynamic of heaven forbid I go inward and I try to, you know, figure things out on my own, for myself, by myself, within myself. Oh no. I have to now involve another man into the mix to get his opinion about what it is that I'm missing or not missing from my life. So again, there's a trend, there's a pattern, right? So I look at this now in my life and I can see it plain as day. What ended up happening was that emotional relationship escalated into a physical relationship. And it only unleashed a Pandora's box opening of shit and drama in my life that forever changed the trajectory of my life moving forward. So it was 2005. It is now 2017. And I will tell you that one decision was a 10-year process of my life, a decade, full decade on a journey that brought me here. And I cannot stress to you more that when a person cheats on you, and I don't care if it's a boyfriend, girlfriend thing, or you're living together, or you're married, when you get cheated on, or you cheat, it has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with the lack of self-love for you. That's all it is. And so when I look at the cheating, I look at it as a broken, terrible time, horrible decision, but it was a decision that I made with all that I knew then. So I in my IPEC training, and this was like a very profound moment for me in my training, we were talking about a foundation principle in coaching, which says there are no mistakes. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, what? Like, there are no mistakes? Are you kidding me? Would you like to sit down and listen to my list of mistakes that I've made? And the principle and the thinking of that foundation principle, like the mindset behind it is there are no mistakes because you're making a decision based on what you know at the time, your limited knowledge of where you are at that time. And at that time, based on what I knew and what I believed and what I was used to, was this pattern of codependency, of lining up someone else to cushion the fall and to look outward and blame outward and not take responsibility for the fact that I was very confused and not very particularly happy with myself. I didn't know how to love myself. And so I looked for everybody outside of myself to love me and validate me. And it led to terrible decisions because you can never get enough of that. It never stops. You're never satiated with any of it. So you keep going, keep going, keep going. So it was a pattern. So now the pattern explodes and all hell breaks loose. And, you know, it ends up being a thing where the husband and I now go into therapy. And we're in therapy and we're talking about, you know, our childhoods and mainly me, like my deal of like all this stuff that I brought into the marriage with me that now all of a sudden gets like puked on my husband that he now has to deal with. And he's got his own stuff that he had brought into the marriage, his own upbringing, his own belief system. So because we were young, you know, this is what we knew and this is what we did. And we had so much love for each other and we still do. Like I always say, this guy is like family in my life. We're family. And, you know, we had to go through a lot to get to this place where we can like kind of deal with each other again. It was just terrible. Like if it was one of those things like in our family that when people heard that Alex and Lisa were getting divorced, people were like, what? Because that's how tight and like, you know, legit friends we were. Like we were truly, truly friends. And now we are again. It's a different thing, obviously, than it was. But it's still, it's a family bond, friendship bond. A lot of respect, a lot of like going through stuff together. So now it's like 2006, 2007. We go through therapy. We're like solid. We're not getting divorced over this. This is insanity. Like, no way, no way. Like, we're together. All is well. We go away on vacations again. We're starting to like kind of rebuild, but I never felt secure. I felt that what I did, the trust was broken on such a level that I literally... And someone's blowing up my phone right now. I'm sorry. But the trust was so broken on such a profound level that I, deep inside, was like waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was like, there is no way that my husband, who knows me at this point for like 15 years. I mean, we met each other at 20. We're now 30, 35. And that level of betrayal was like, he was so shell-shocked, poor thing. Like the only thing he knew how to do was like make me happy. So it was like he was conditioned to be like, okay, Lisa did this, so that means she's not happy with me. So what can I do to make her happy? Instead of being self-loving in his own right and saying, yo, wait a second. I love you, but I love me first, most, and always. And I'm going to call up your dad and I'm going to call up your mom because somebody's got to come get you because you're going to get the hell out of my house right now. Different game. If that's what I evoked in him then, different game. And I can't blame him for that. We were where we were at the time. Again, there are no mistakes. We were doing the best we knew at the time. So, infidelity, full-blown thing. We're kind of rekindling. We're getting back together, but I never was settled in it. I never felt all was well. I always was kind of on edge with it. And it wasn't until almost a year or two later where I come to learn through a friend, and there are no accidents, the truth always finds me. And I found out that my husband then was sort of like revenge cheating on me. And it was done in a very different way than mine was. If you put 50 people in a room and you said which one was worse, it'd probably be an even split. Mine was much more emotional. I actually like bonded with the person. His was much more faceless, nameless, superficial, just hookups. Dangerous nonetheless, but different. It all was rooted in the same place, a lack of self-worth and self-love. Because when people truly love themselves, they leave a relationship. They won't destroy the other person in their own pain or in their own confusion. They'll at least say, you know what, I love myself enough to have dignity and be operating with integrity when I say I need to not be in this marriage or I need time on my own or whatever your deal is to work it through as opposed to hurting that other person. Again, no mistakes. You are where you are, knowing what you're knowing, doing what you're doing. So that said, it took a really long time to heal from all of this. We again found ourselves in couples therapy, and again it was the same issues. It was like we were spinning in circles and things were not being handled. We understood how and why we were in the situation we were in, but we didn't know how to move forward. And that is what intrigues me so much about coaching. I am 100% committed to helping people who may have gone to therapy, who may have been labeled codependent, ADHD, what's the other ones? Depressed, bipolar. There's like a million labels. And what ends up happening is people stick to those labels and they use them as a justification for where they are. And it keeps you stuck. So my whole deal was, once I learned about the codependency and what had gone on with me in my marriage, in my relationships, how I showed up in my relationships, I decided to do something about it. So I will take you back now. It's 2008. All hell's breaking loose in my marriage. Oh my God. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And somehow we kind of decide we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. This is the do or die moment. Either we go through this summer, go through therapy, and end the summer together, planning our 10-year anniversary vacation, or we plan for divorce. And we both didn't want that, and we were just so sad about it because we were very confused about how we got to where we got. Like, we understood, okay, things happen in our childhood, whatever, but where do we go from here? Nobody could ever answer that question. And that was what was like ripping at us. And we were looking at each other like, we are the best of friends and we did these horrible things to each other. Why? And why can't we figure out why so we can move to the next thing? And we just tried so hard and we were efforting so much that eventually in 2010, it just unraveled. It all just unraveled. And that's when, in a way, it was the first showing that my husband started to go inward and realize that he had to love himself, that he had to put his foot down and figure it all out for himself and step away from what society tells us we're supposed to do. You're supposed to get married. You're supposed to buy a house. You're supposed to have kids. And I resisted it. I didn't want to get divorced. I didn't want any of this that was going on. We were selling our house. I had no choice. It was either like, go live with your parents, me, again, at 39 years old, or cash out my half of the house, split everything up, and move to Miami. And that's what I did. So next week's episode, I will tell you about my journey, but I do want, with the Miami and the whole thing and what happened with Alex and Lisa and, how we went from now being separated and the whole drama. But what I also promised you guys is that I wanted to give you a recap kind of what I was talking about that helps you to cheat-proof your relationships, okay? So what you may have picked up from my story is, number one, you have to have the self-love on point before you enter a relationship. And I know relationships are supposed to teach us all of this and whatever, but like if you're going to get into a serious relationship, you have to do it from a high-flying, super psyched about your life, I'm cool with me, everything's operating on like full-fledged good, go, love it, love the work, love the, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm loving my mind, I love where I'm at, and bam, that's where you meet somebody. There are a lot of people out there, present company was one of them, where I wasn't cool with myself. I had confidence, I believed in who I was, but there was this inner yearning for something that I could only fulfill for myself. And it's never, ever, ever going to be fulfilled by anyone ever but myself. And once you come into that, then the relationship just comes to you, dog. You just crash and boom, there's my person. So I hope that's helpful to you. If you really want to seriously, cheat-proof your life, get the self-love on point, get your goals focused, get focused on the vision for the life that you want, both for yourself and in the relationship, and just focus on goals, and also have check-ins with each other with communication. Communication, I cannot tell you, is everything in a relationship. Without it, there's a complete breakdown. And if a person is guarded and a little walled up, and you're just not going to know what the standards are, you're not going to know what's expected of you and how you could rise up and be a better version of you. Not to make that other person happy, but just to be happy within yourself, because that other person cares and wants you to be the best person that you could be. They see in you what you don't see in yourself. And I know my husband saw that in me. I know he did. And I know he still does. He sees all great things in me. But I wasn't able to see them in myself. And so I did things based on my limited knowledge of what I knew then. And it led to this, life that I'm on, this path that I'm on. So hopefully that gives you some wisdom. I don't know. I'm just sharing my deal. If it resonated with you, awesome. Right now I am coaching. I'm coaching married people, single people who are on the verge of really getting into that meaningful relationship, helping them cultivate that self-love. So it's this nice preparation for the relationship they're about to attract, and getting to a place where it's dude, it's all cool whether I'm with somebody or not. All is good with me. First, most, and always. So on that, I will leave the Facebook Live. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. And till next Monday night at 10. And if you have any specific questions, I'm going to read the feed after this and whatever. But you have any questions for me, hit me up, Lisa at lisaconcepcion.com. You can Google me, Lisa Concepcion. You will find my website there. You'll find my YouTube channel, everything I got going on. And I would love to connect with you. Everything you tell me obviously is confidential, very ethical about that. And yeah, I'm here to help you out. So you're perfect right where you are. Even though it may seem like it sucks, trust me, there's a good turnout. Have a great, great night, you guys. Rest well. Bye.